Hello everyone, Professor Plunkett here. Just wanted to create a short video to go over what is expected in week 3. So I have myself on a 15-minute timer because obviously people do lose attention after, for longer videos. So this is just a 15-minute chunk. Go over, what's going on in week 3 so that you can be better prepared. We will be having our live session this evening. It's January 25th. The live session is at 7 p.m. Just click the Zoom link in the class and then click the join link for January 25th. Very simple. So your Zoom link is right here. And then when you go there, there'll be a list of the meetings. I mean, it's all the same Zoom meeting, so no matter which one you click, you'll wind up in the same place, but they're listed there by day. So click on the January 25th and join. All right, so what is week 3 all about? So week 3, we're going to look at early biological theories of crime. So that's what your readings are going to be about. Difference between historical biological and contemporary biosocial theories of crime. Keep in mind that we're going to look at more deeply into biosocial theories next week in the week 4 readings, which come from chapter 4. But chapter 3, you're going to be introduced to some of the early biological theories, some of which have seriously been debunked over the years. Some of them, like phrenology. Phrenology actually said that certain parts of the brain were active, and you could tell by the bumps on the skull which parts of the brain were active, and you could kind of determine what a person's behavior would be based upon the bumps on their skull. So, that's an interesting one. I'm not going to get into a lot of content right now. I just want to give you the brief overview of what you need to get into this week. When you're doing your readings, what is it that you want to focus on so that you can properly complete your assignment and the discussions for the week. Now, remember, the assignment, you get to pick from 8 questions. What I would suggest is that you go and look at the assignment. We're going to look at it for a second here, but look at the assignment, read all the questions even before you do your chapter reading, so that while you're doing the chapter reading, you kind of get a trigger that, oh yeah, that's one of the questions I have an option of answering. And it will actually help you to learn that material better. If you've already read the questions and your brain is kind of focused on those 8 questions, when you read them in the chapter or watch a video in the chapter in your Revel online platform, it will click better with you. Okay, so we're going to outline the basic principles of biological theories of crime, describe, like I said, early biological explanations of criminality, explain the importance of altruism, territoriality, and tribalism from the socio-biological perspective of crime, identify some criticisms of early biological theories of criminal behavior. Some of them will be rather obvious to you if you're like basing your feeling that somebody commits crime by what they look like, whether it might lean towards racial, ethnic, gender, whatever. Although we're going to find out from our research and from our reading that gender is actually a very clear indicator of potential to commit crime, because males commit many more criminal acts than females. Of course, that doesn't mean you can look at a male and say, okay, that guy's a criminal. No, because the percentage of males that commit crime versus those that don't commit crime is vastly different. But you can, when a crime is committed, if you don't know one way or the other, if you say it's probably a male, you are more likely to be right. All right, so what are you doing if you're attending fully online, not coming to the live session tonight? Again, you're looking through these assignments as you're doing right now with me, and then you do your reading. If you want to go through the slideshow or watch my pre-recorded lectures on this content, go ahead and do that. Then you're going to do your full response to discussions 3.1 and 3.2. Remember, that is a substantive, detailed answer to whatever question is there. Providing evidence from your reading and from outside sources that support whatever you're going to say in those discussion questions. And remember also that these discussion questions should be done by Thursday. Now, granted, some of you have some difficulties with work schedules and what have you, and maybe you were looking at it like yesterday and trying to get the discussion done for this week because you're not going to be able to do it. But it's really important that we participate in these discussions early in the week and then come back and respond to others as if we were having a class discussion, which obviously, since we're not meeting together, all of us, we don't have. All right, what are you going to do next? Before the next class or before the end of the week, you take the quiz, assuming you've done your reading, maybe you've taken some notes, etc. And then you're going to complete the week 3 assignment, which we talked about. And you should definitely, and it's probably easier to do this while you're doing your reading, is review the extra content that's available, video and otherwise, within the Revel platform, because it's definitely going to add to your knowledge of the subject. All right, I did put in here a nice little resource, and I kind of blew over these in the past, but I did some minor revisions, and this is just an idea of what I would like to address in our live session. Of course, we only have 90 minutes as opposed to a classroom session, which is 4 hours. So, these are estimates, and we may not really get into all of this. Like, I don't expect to do a full PowerPoint lecture based upon the slideshow on this chapter, because I've already recorded one for you and you can just watch that. But we'll discuss some of those concepts that are in that chapter. And I have a really cool video I'd like to see. Hopefully we can play online. Although I'm not sure, because if it senses that you're recording it, sometimes there's some YouTube videos that you're not going to be able to play if you're going to record. So I haven't tried that yet. I'm going to try that. I should try that this afternoon. And just a reminder of when things are due. So those of you that might need a form or a paper to like hang on your bulletin board at home, this could be helpful. You can download this form, this document, and you can do whatever you want with it. All right, next. So discussion question number 1, 3.1, is about the discussion of eugenics that you're going to find in your textbook. Now, there's a page listed here, but obviously Revel doesn't use page numbers, but it's in chapter 3. You'll see a discussion of eugenics. So you need to understand what eugenics is, what people who believed in eugenics wanted to do, and talk about why or why not that is a way to deal with crime going forward. And if we thought that there was some strong genetic component, which we'll look at more next week a little, that caused crime, how might we deal with people who have that genetic component to make sure they don't become criminal? Remember to provide good sources. I'm going to go a little faster because I'm in the last 5 minutes of my 15 minutes. All right, criminological theory and road rage. There's a discussion in your textbook about a person by the name of Konrad Lorenz. Lorenz wrote a book called On Aggression and talks about how people react to things that happen to them in society. And what I want to kind of practically address that concept to the idea of road rage and those types of things that have happened in our society. So look up some of the recent issues of road rage. I remember it's 2 years ago, where there was a young woman and a man in 2 separate vehicles. I believe he was driving like a red pickup or truck, something. She was driving a small car, and they were trying to get on at the same exit. And something happened where one maybe cut the other off or whatever. And this guy got mad. He pulls a gun and he shoots her. He kills her right on the highway. I believe it was Montgomery or Chester County. So look that one up. I don't recall the names, but again, you need to be able to do research and search these things out and come up with them. So you're looking at Lorenz's theories, applying them to the concept of road rage in our society today, come up with a couple of recent cases and discuss why or why not these road rage situations are similar to what Lorenz had discussed. All right, moving on. So again, all these assignments are the same as far as their structure. Difference here appears there's only 7 questions to pick from. So pick 4 of these 7 questions. Remember, if you didn't look at your feedback from last week's assignments, that the structure for this, you should have, best practice would be to have a title page in accordance with APA format, and then your written answers to the questions, which would probably take you at least 2 pages, because I want to see, at least 2, if not 3 detailed paragraphs answering each question. And the format that I want to see is I want to see you list the question, and then I want to see your answers to that question. And then you list the next question, answer the question, and list the next question, and you do that 4 times. In your answers to the question, you need to make sure that you have your in-text citations. And then at the end, this should be a page by itself. After you've answered all your questions, you need to have that APA style reference list. But you do need to have the in-text citations citing your sources within each of your answers. And then I need to be able to see all of those sources that show up in in-text citation with a full APA reference list entry at the end. All right, pure and simple. Quiz number 3, again, this addresses chapter 3. You have 10 questions. You get to take it 3 times. You get the highest score of those 3 attempts. Just make sure you do the reading. Keep in mind also, this is an online. There's no restriction on whether you look at the text or not. If you have a more recent Windows computer using Windows 10, or even, I believe, even Windows 7, I wouldn't even talk about Windows 8. That was a nightmare. But you can actually split your screen. So you could have the quiz up on one side and your textbook up on the other side. So just in case, something doesn't click, oh, what is that? You could look it up in the textbook and see if you can find it and answer the question. All right. Because you have no time limit, so you have as long as you want. The point is for you to get the knowledge and learn from it. All right, moving on. I have some optional readings listed here, and this is just an interesting thing. There was a study done in Philadelphia between 2007 and 2012. The researchers actually lived, I believe it was in the Kensington area, interacted with the residents, police, and others, studied the neighborhood culture, including policing, drugs, and violence. And I just ask that you read it. And if you have any comments about what you read in the article, what's going on today, and how this information might help us to change the drug culture, the violence culture, whatever, in Philadelphia, have at it. Have additional video content here. So there's a discussion on the death penalty, which was talked about in week 2. So this is just kind of a review of that. And another video content. This is something that hopefully I can show part of this in our live session tonight, if I am allowed, since we're going to be recording again. It might be blocked. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but very worthwhile, and you can certainly all watch it on YouTube. And it's some interviews with a gentleman by the name of Adrian Rain, who wrote a book called The Anatomy of Violence, the biological roots of crime, I believe the subtitle. It's not what's there. And he talked about how there are some biological things that might be indicators of future involvement in crime, or show us that someone might be more disposed to commit crime. But also in the book, he talks about how these things interact with your environment and society. And just because you have, a lower resting heart rate, just because you have a higher testosterone level, just because, you have issues in your prefrontal cortex of your brain, does not always mean you're going to commit crime, but you have that potential. So it's an interesting video, and if you can get the book, it's an interesting book. And then you have access to just the PowerPoint slides that you can look at your leisure. And that is the end of everything for week 1. Remember to always watch or look at the announcements for new stuff. And hopefully I'll see some. Just media. Thank you very much. That will be the end of this recording. See you later.